Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillah, hamdan katsiran tayyiban mubarakan fihi kama yuhibbu rabbuna wa yarda. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. La nabiyya ba'dah wa la rasula ba'dah. Amma ba'd. Hello everyone. Today we would like to do teacher of the day. We are going to be your teacher for this day, for this time. Okay. Today we are going to learn about the history of our country, Indonesia. Okay. For that, introducing ourselves first. My name is Faishal.
My name is Chaka Mahadika, you can call me Chaka.
Yes, you can call me Faishal. Okay. We'll continue. So there are some points in this presentation. So the first is the prehistory or the background of our country, and then the second is about the influence of Indians to our country. The third is about kingdoms in our country. And then the fourth is the colonization. The fifth is our independence, and the sixth is about the dictatorships that happen in Indonesia. Okay, so first I would like to explain a little bit about the prehistory. So actually, Indonesia was discovered as a country in the early 1890s in the solar region of Central Java. So in here, Java man's skeleton was over 1 million years old, but actually the history of Indonesia maybe already has probably begun around 500,000 before century.
At the time,
Borneo, or in the Indonesian language, is Kalimantan.
of Sumatra,
No, Borneo is Kalimantan.
of Sumatra, Java and Bali were accepted to Asia, rated as the sea
Continent.
continent as the sea level was over that
Then
it is sorry today.
yes, because the sea level before is lower, so actually all the continents like Sumatra, Bali, Java, and all that is actually combined, and it's called Nusantara. But now break apart because the water level has rise. Okay, and then this helped the first Negroid and Australoid populations to reach the country between 3,000 to 5,000 before century. There was a second wave of migration, and the first civilization of Indonesia dates back to 1,000 before century, actually originating from people from Vietnam and from the North China. The Dongson developed crafts and rituals in Java and Bali. Okay, Chaka, you can explain.
In the history of the Indonesia, the trade of
Spices.
spices from the coast
Archipelago.
archipelago met the influence of India crosses
Stronger.
stronger and stronger, being that 4th
4th century.
century
Hinduism.
Hinduism and
Buddhism.
Buddhism were spread across the archipelago.
Okay, so actually because the trading of spices before started with Indians, some Indian people also come to Indonesia. That's why the influence was stronger and stronger, and that's why probably some of you have a family member that is previously Indians. Yeah, because in Indonesia the influence of Indians are actually very strong. Okay, and even still today, you can visit the temples of the Borobudur Temple, Prambanan Temple during your holiday. It's actually because of the influence of Indians. The first writings in Sanskrit, or that's the language used in India, intellectuals actually date back to the 5th century. Yeah. Okay, now I want to explain about the kingdoms in Indonesia. So Actually, in the 7th century, Sriwijaya, which you all know, is an important trader in all Southeast Asia, and he built his kingdom in Indonesia, which is the Sriwijaya Kingdom, as some of you may know. And at that time, he had control over the Strait of Malacca from Malaysia to West Java. And for the Central Java, the rival kingdom or the enemy of the Sriwijaya Kingdom is Mataram, which was led first by a Hindu dynasty, the Sanjaya, and after that was led by a Buddhist dynasty, the Sailendra. Bali is also strongly influenced by the Indian culture, and the original animism is slowly fading away in favor of Indian religions. That's why in Bali maybe there is many Hindu people or Buddhist people because many influence from India. Chaka.
The
Colonization.
colonization. The start rise of the trade between Indonesia and Eropa start Portuguese and
Started when Portuguese landed.
and in Portuguese landed that Archipelago, the first colonial trading post was held in the Maldives, also known as the Spice Island. Island.
Spaniards.
Spanish, English, and Dutch covered the spot, but it's finally the Dutch how want to better at in 1602 then correct the
Dutch.
at
East
India Company.
Okay. So that's about the history about the VOC, as we all know about VOC, which is the company that made by the Dutch. So there are some countries that already try to colonize Indonesia because of the spices that is very good in here. So there is Europe, which is Portuguese, Spain, and also English, and also with the Dutch, but the others lost, and then actually Dutch has won and has been colonizing and taking over Indonesia for some time, and they have created the company which is named VOC. Yeah, like that. Now is the beginning of Batavia, or as we know now is Jakarta. They gained control, which is the Dutch, gained control over the spice trade in the area to the detriment of local populations who were massacred or enslaved. So they razed Jakarta to the ground and built Batavia following the model of Amsterdam. So that's why if you go to Jakarta, and before it the name is Batavia, you see some buildings are like the buildings in the Dutch country, like in the old city, or we say it Kota Tua. Yeah, the buildings are like that. At the time, Indonesia is divided into small kingdoms, which makes it easier for the Dutch to control the entire territory. Because at the time, Indonesia is still between kingdoms like the Sriwijayas, Sanjaya, and all others. And now the fall of the Dutch. In 1800, the Dutch East India went bankrupt, or the VOC went bankrupt. And then after that, French decided to took over Indonesia after the loss of Dutch. And then English also gained control over Batavia, but only for a short period of time. But even then, the Dutch still stayed in Indonesia until the 20th of century. Okay, the independence of Indonesia. So in 1927, after creating the Indonesian Nationalist Party, which is made because the citizens of Indonesia has been seeing how the Dutch has been treating the civilians in Indonesia like puppets or just tools, and just realize that they are being colonized. So they have created the Indonesian Nationalist Party. And then after creating that, Sukarno, or which was the president before, was imprisoned by the Dutch. But it's only after World War II that the Netherlands or the Dutch agreed to grant independence in Indonesia. So the Dutch was in a war with Indonesia to gain control over all Indonesian territory, but actually in the behind they have been attacked by Japan as well. Yeah.
I still remember
And then independence was proclaimed on August 17, 1945, as we all know. But it's actually officially recognized 4 years later on December 27, 1949. But unfortunately, because of the cultural diversity, social disparities, and as well as lack of common education, led the newly independent state of Indonesia to sink in chaos. Okay. Chaka, good.
I
Yes.
yeah, Soekarno. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Soekarno as
Marxist,
Marxist and
imperialist.
anti-imperialist leader was
Elected.
elected with the
Corruption.
corruption was with the currency
Growing.
growing and the crop in the 1965. Soekarno decided
To retire.
to retire in 1967.
Okay, for the second point, General Suharto was elected after Sukarno decided to retire in 1967, and then General Suharto was elected as the second president by the Congress in 1968. But favoritism, corruption, and nepotism will be the hallmarks of Suharto's authoritarian and capitalist regime. So he opens Indonesia to foreign capital and invests in unachievable projects such as manufacturing a car or a plane. But because of that, not finished yet. Because of that, at the end of the 20th century, actually unemployment is rising. Investors are withdrawing, canceled their agreement with Indonesia, and currency is crashing because the price are hiking unusually. It's getting higher and higher every single time, and students start to rebel against the official power. And because of that, Suharto resigns in 1998 under national and international pressure. Okay, thank you for paying attention. We hope you guys learned something from our TOTD. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.